The sky was bleeding shades of crimson when he rode back to his ranch, a lone figure against the dying sun. His name was Caleb Ryder, a young cowboy with a heart as silent as the desert wind. Folks in town said he'd lost more than most men ever could, but Caleb never spoke about it. He just worked, sun up to sundown, fixing fences, tending his horses, and trying to forget the ghosts that followed him home each night. But fate wasn't done with him yet. That evening, when thunder rolled across the canyon and the wind howled through the dry mesquite trees, something was waiting beyond the horizon, something that would test the edge of his soul. The storm came sudden, tearing through the valley like a wild beast. Caleb pulled his hat low and urged his horse forward through the wind. The rain hit hard, slapping against the earth, turning the trails into rivers of mud. But through the storm he heard it, a faint cry, high and desperate, carried by the wind. At first, he thought it was the wind playing tricks. Then he heard it again, a human voice, a cry for help. Caleb turned his horse toward the sound, heart pounding, instincts sharper than the lightning flashing above. He found them near the riverbank, two young Apache girls, no older than 16, half drowned and clinging to a broken tree trunk. The floodwaters were rising fast, dragging everything toward the canyon fall. Caleb didn't think twice. He threw off his coat, tied his rope to a rock, and plunged into the icy water. The current hit him hard, like a wall, but he fought through it, one arm reaching for the girls. He caught the first one, pulled her toward the shore, then went back for the second as thunder cracked overhead. His muscles burned, his breath broke in gasps, but he didn't stop until both were safe on the muddy ground. The older sister coughed, spitting water, her lips trembling as she whispered something in Apache. Caleb couldn't understand the words, but he saw the fear in her eyes, fear and something else, trust. He wrapped them in his blanket, led them back to his horse, and began the long ride home through the storm. The rain didn't stop until dawn. By the time they reached the ranch, both girls were shivering, their dark hair plastered to their faces. Caleb lit a fire, gave them his last bit of bread, and sat quietly staring into the flames. He didn't know who they were or where they came from. All he knew was that destiny had just knocked on his door, disguised as two frightened strangers. When the morning sun broke through, the valley was still wet and glistening. The girls slept by the fire, peaceful for the first time. Caleb walked outside, his boots sinking into the damp earth. He looked out across the fields and whispered to himself, "What in God's name have you brought me into this time?" But in his heart, a spark had been lit, something he hadn't felt in years. Maybe it was purpose, maybe it was hope. What Caleb didn't know was that those two girls were the daughters of a powerful Apache chief, and that saving them had just changed his destiny forever.